Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending, attending this webinar today on 4 Seasons of Reconciliation. This webinar will be covering the 4 Seasons of Reconciliation platform. Andre Corazon will be guiding us through how to roll out the course with your organization. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat pane with this webinar. There will also be time at the end of this presentation to ask questions. And after this webinar concludes, I will be sending out a link to the video for this webinar for everyone who registered, as well as a link to some introductory videos for 4 Seasons of Reconciliation provided by Andre. And also, sorry, I forgot to mention this. I'm Brian Lynn with the Alberta Library, so I'm just helping out in hosting this webinar. Yeah, I'm just going to hand things over to Andre.
Okay, good morning. Brian, my audio is working okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Excellent. Well, good morning from beautiful Treaty 4 here in Regina. My name is Andre Casbon, and I'm one of the creative leads at 4 Seasons of Reconciliation. And actually, our office is located just a couple of blocks down from First Nations University, who's also our partner. Yeah, we're really glad to have you along. Thank you so much, Brian and Canada Consortia, for hosting us today, and for all of those who will be joining us by viewing the video. You know, we welcome you, and we're also available for any questions you might have. And so part of what we'll be doing today is also taking in your questions. I want to make sure that you're able to get what you need out of this webinar. And so if you want to type in your questions as we go on, to ensure that some of the things you wanted to learn today we're going to be covering. And as well, we do have an onboarding private page that we can share with you, where you'll see a lot of this information as well. So yeah, let's get started. And Brian, you know, in maybe 10 minutes, you'll let me know when questions start to come in, and I'll also address these and wrap them into the onboarding call. So just before, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Is this a, yeah, of course, yep. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I just want to test out. So I just wanted to say hello to everyone before I switch over to screen mode. And as well, the best way to send your questions is to send them along to Brian by typing them in. So we'll start with just a short presentation on the 7 phases of onboarding your resources. And so Brian, I just want to check, are you able to see my screen, or is it just my video feed of myself in front of the computer?
We're able to see both right now.
Both right now, okay.
Yep, there we go. It's just the screen now.
It's the screen. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thanks for walking me through this. So some of the items we'll be covering today is basically the 7 phases of onboarding, and now some of you are at different places than others, and you might have also invited folks from your organization that might be from the Indigenous office, or might be part of HR, human resources, or maybe some of your consulting faculty. So with us this morning, we might have folks that are, of course, part of the library system, but also part of different places in the university, and who will be helping with the rollout, and as well, of course, we'll be covering how to roll out this online course during COVID-19, as opposed to when we're back in the classroom or in work mode. And so by now, you should have all received your courses. If you have not, contact us. Maybe there was a glitch in delivery, but I believe that all of you have received post-secondary courses as well as your professional development courses. I know some of you have questions as well between, you know, is it better for the professional development to be hosted on our own learning management system, or is it better for it to be hosted on your learning management system? So we'll also be covering that today as well. Okay. And so, for example, here are some of the images from First Nations University here, and some of the images from the film. Sorry, here we go. And so I wanted to also acknowledge our collaborator and our partner, First Nations University of Canada. Our team at Four Seasons of Reconciliation are essentially a film and tech company. We produce documentaries, and we've assisted First Nations University in some of the reconciliation films that were co-created. Our role is technical in many ways, and the content and the authors are primarily from First Nations University, but also from across the country. And so different elements of the resource have different contributors and different authors. And so First Nations University has been around for over 40 years. They are an Indigenous-led organization and an actual partner for this online learning. I wanted to also honor the Elders Circle, Keteayak Elder Circle, who represent 7 different language families and nations and Métis people from across Saskatchewan. And so here they are in front of the Pipe Ceremony Lodge in the middle of First Nations University. And here are some more images of the university, which as well, the other update I wanted to mention is that moving forward, when learners will receive their completion certificates from the professional development course, it will be signed by First Nations University and have their logo. So that's a nice addition to the course. It took a little bit of time for them to have official permission to be able to do that. And if you have an older version of the certificate where it's actually, you know, my signature on there, which was kind of a placeholder while we wait for this, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to us and we'll be happy to replace your certificate. Okay, so let's move through these 7 phases together. And so the first one is the technical delivery. And so in this phase, and as well, there's a checklist that I can show you how to access, and it gives you, you know, some of the elements from all of these phases and help you move through this. So basically, the first phase is where we deliver the course to you in a format that best fits. For the professional development, you have the option of hosting it in your own learning management system, as well as hosting it on our own learning management system. It's always going to be easier for you to manage, to access the data, and to assist your team if it's hosted on your own LMS. However, if that's not available at your organization, we're happy to host it on ours and to provide you with usage reports every 90 days and help you access the information you need from the portal. The second phase is if you want to connect us to your various contacts. So the library, for example, for the post-secondary course, you might be playing the lead role in terms of helping students and faculty access it. If they forgot the password, if they forgot the link, you know, that might be the role of the library. If you have the professional development course, you may also want to connect us with your HR folks. So maybe human resources is assisting in the technical delivery. And of course, you know, we really hope that the Indigenous office in your organization is very much envisioning and leading the process in terms of how this initiative connects with their own reconciliation initiative. So that's really important. So maybe you want to connect us and introduce us to your Indigenous lead at your college or university. And you know, it's very much a relational approach, and so it's not like we're sending you a pair of shoes by Amazon. We're here to assist you through every step of the way. And so sometimes we'll have a relationship only with the library team, and that's perfectly fine. Another college or university, we might have contact with 3 different groups of folks. So it's really up to you. We're here to help you. We're not here to micromanage or to be directive in how you use this resource. We're here if you reach out to us. But otherwise, you know, we do have some colleges and universities that just kind of roll with it and send us a little email once in a while. And then there's other sites where we're helping you, you know, every step of the way. So give some thoughts to who is on the team in terms of the rollout, and what are the roles within your organization. And so once you have that, phase 3 is the planning, you know, the rollout. So for example, the professional development course, maybe just the executives start taking the course and then it gets rolled out. If it's the post-secondary, maybe you want to make it as a mandatory course for a specific faculty, you know. And so think about, you know, who do you want to reach with this? Part of the planning is also to see how does it fit into reconciliation initiatives already underway or already in the planning stages. And so, you know, who will be learning from these resources? How will it be shared? And again, we can help you with that. We can share stories from other areas and show you some different ways. I know some colleges, for example, Confederation College in Thunder Bay, and other colleges in Manitoba have or are looking at rolling this out as part of mandatory training. If that's the case, you know, do call us and let us know, and we can at least have a bit of a heads up for that. Sometimes it means that we have different kinds of questions from employees, and sometimes they do reach out to us. So, you know, phase 3 is the planning. You know, once you have that resource well anchored within your organization, what do you do with it? You know, who are you reaching? Oh, phase 4 didn't show up in the, well, we'll see these phases in a bit. So another phase is rolling out and implementation, right? So that's when your learners are actually starting to learn, and you might have different phases of that. And we'll come back and talk about, you know, how that might be very different during COVID. There's our phase 4. My apologies, the slide was in misorder. So in phase 4, before you have your larger launch, sometimes you do a bit of a softer launch or a pilot test. And then that provides you with some feedback or testimonies, quotes that from your own organization that you can share with the broader team. You know, so for example, the post-secondary, maybe it's your faculty of education or social work that starts off the first semester or the first term, and then provides you know, student feedback or student quotes and instructor quotes, and then there's a larger launch. Sometimes the pilot is just to make sure that, you know, everything works and everything is in order. We've had organizations also host competitions between 2 different faculties, and so instead of making the course mandatory, it's more of a social learning environment, so a little bit of a competition. Maybe there's a prize. So for example, maybe 2 different faculties compete against each other to see how many certificates of completion in faculty, so for employees and professors and instructors. And so maybe it's a 60-day competition, and at the end of 60 days, you calculate who got the most certificates from each of the faculty. So those kinds of initiatives can be launched as a later stage, and maybe the first soft launch is just a general invitation to your university or college to take up the course. And so if you've started with a small pilot group, a test group, and then you've implemented it in maybe one or two areas of the organization, typically that will be followed with a wider rollout to the entire population. So the entire population of employees or the entire population of students. And so, you know, we find typically that that's kind of pre-COVID, that's how it was. You know, it was just a small test and then a sample group and then a wider rollout. And sometimes the president's office will get involved and provide, you know, words of welcome or a newsletter that's communicated to the university or the college as a whole. Excuse me for one quick sec. Sorry about that. And so once you've rolled out the course, you know, being able to measure your success. And so, for example, success metrics might be 20% of the college has already received their certificate of completion. And so that might be different for every college or university. And so knowing what those phases of success and completion are, you know, are going to be different again for every organization, and that comes from your plan. So some colleges and universities, of course, are well aware of the calls to action and want to meet them in measurable ways, and so it's quite possible that in the organization, mandatory training or offering training might be part of your organization. So being able to assist the president's office or the indigenization office in how to measure that with this course is helpful, and we can assist you with that as well. You know, we're here to support you in whether it's having strategy call. Some of them who had who were part of the webinar a couple of weeks ago, we've already started to have some of these follow-up calls where we're just having one-on-one conversations about their own planning and rollout, or maybe it's technical questions. So we're here to assist you throughout the whole process, not just at the beginning. So you can always book a call with us. We can also put you in touch with other colleges and universities who might have done a similar campaign, or some of the folks at First Nations University. And as well, we often get requests from specific faculty, you know, who will want health-based clips from the bonus library to integrate that into their classroom, and which ones. And so we might have some more specific conversations about that. There is also in the bonus section a lot of films and videos from across the country. So sometimes we help you be able to see which are some of the videos from your own territory or regions. And also we're here to provide any course refresh, whether that's on terminology or new content that we're dropping in. You know, we'll let you know there's no extra cost. We're just always working on the resource, improving it, translating to French. We're adding a few Métis modules in the coming months. So, you know, we would let you know, by the way, you know, this has been dropped in, and it will always be dropped in the bonus section so that it doesn't disrupt the learning, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't change how learners have been learning. And of course, if there's typos, you know, those get fixed and the course gets reloaded. As well, we're here to help you in your reconciliation strategies and meeting calls to actions. And as I mentioned, connecting you to other sites. So I'm going to bring you over to our web page here. But just before I do that, Brian, do you have some questions already coming in, or some themes that folks want me to touch upon more specifically?
No questions yet, Andre.
Okay, great. So this page here will be provided to you by Brian when he sends you the follow-up to the call, and this webinar will be hosted on YouTube for folks to see. But you can see already, if you wanted to, you could go visit that page by, I'm just gonna see, make sure you can see the hyperlink. So it's our regular website for reconciliationeducation.ca. And so, by the way, that's where you can reach us. If you ever need anything, you can always come here. You can also call directly or contact us here. And so here's our website, Four Seasons. Or sorry, our email address is fourseasons@reconciliationeducation.ca. And so we'll return to the onboarding page here. Now, there is this is password protected. The password is the medicine called SAGE, S-A-G-E. Like the spice sage. And so once you type in that password, you can enter here. And this is a little bit of a recap. Now, Brian, I know last time, whenever I would try to show videos, they would kind of, there would be a lag. And so this would be a short 38-second clip I would love to share with you, but I think if I do, it will lag. But maybe we'll try it, and at the very least, maybe you can hear a little bit of it, but you can come on the page and of course.
How do people use the land and plants and animals? That's how I sustain myself, not only for survival, but all, almost as a yearning to be. We need the land, and so our history tells us, our narratives tell us about how we are partnered with the land.
So it's just a short clip that I knew would play well, even though it's a little bit jagged. You can watch it in better quality when you come and visit the page. It's just to give you a little bit of the spirit and the tone of some of the bonus content that you can find. Of course, this one is particularly short, and so it played well. It was 36 seconds, but there are, of course, longer clips. But it gives you a sense. Brian, I'm wondering, how was the quality in the playback from your end? I wonder if I can get away with maybe sharing another clip that's 2 minutes.
It was a bit choppy. I mean, the audio definitely comes through, but I would say, the frame rate's actually pretty low when it comes through. So I don't know. I guess it doesn't hurt to try. But like, if not, we can always just send the link in the email.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is, thank you, Brian, for that. I think we got away with it with that short clip, but we invite you to come here. Of course, you have access to this. And maybe if there's time at the end, we'll test our chance for technology again. But for example, this is a series that was done in Kitchener-Miksib and Innuig in remote OG Nation Big Trout Lake is the English name, and it was a series that was done with their educators, and so it was a community-led initiative. It showcases young people and elders and leaders, and it was a whole series that was done. 4 to 5 minute clips, some are 7-minute clips on various themes, connection to the land, pre-contact, influences that came from settlers. So it's a really beautiful series. So that whole series is also available in the bonus features. There's another series on languages. From Inuktitut to Michif to other First Nations languages in Ontario and Quebec. Of course, some of those languages carry over in Manitoba and Quebec as well. And so there's also some reconciliation films. So we invite you to go visit the bonus section. So I also want to show you here, there's a little checklist that you can use to go through and see, where you're at with the onboarding of this resource. So these are the phases that we chatted about. It goes into it a little bit in more details. You can also download this when you arrive to it. But it's just some points to keep in mind. Of course, your organization doesn't have to do all of this, but it just helps you to see, how to ensure that this resource doesn't sit on a shelf, basically. That's our aim together. And so if we can help you with that, and so, you can use this checklist to see, what's going to be relevant in our organization, what's not going to be relevant, what do we need, what do we not need. So anyway, that checklist is here for you if it can be of help. And I also want to take a few minutes to show you. So earlier we had talked about, and again, I'm coming back to the professional development course. And so through Canada Consortia, you've had the option to preview the course. So you would have previewed it in our own learning management system. But if you wanted to take a peek and see and share with your tech team or your human resources team, what's it going to look like if we embed it in our own organization's learning management? Here's an example of what it would look like. So your logo would appear here in this section here. And this is how it would appear in your own learning management system. So I'll just scroll through. Hopefully I don't give you a headache by going too fast. But here's the course at a glance. So you can get the sense of it. And here, let's say we go into learning outcomes for module 3. So this is how your staff and employees would see this course. So I've skipped ahead, of course, we're in module 3 right now, but I just wanted to show you a sample, just so it can take a little bit of the mystery out of, well, what would it look like? So, here's the slide presentation. For example, it's just loading a little bit because we're on a webinar. There's a little bit of a lag here, but you can see how the module appears in your own. And of course, you can set it so that right now we're able to skip through, and typically you're not supposed to skip through till a section is completed. So for example, we've completed 5% already. So this is how it looks in your LMS. This is a video. I won't play it because it'll be a little jagged, but you can see that it will load, and you have the options. So yeah, so that's that's how it appears. Here's how the short quizzes appear. So it's very user friendly, and you know, we find that visually it looks better in this type of format than when we actually learn in our own LMS that we have, which is a little bit more limited. Sorry, folks. Here we go. As well, in here we've shared, so for example, if you, in your communication to your employees, we have some links here. So here's a 2-minute video that is kind of a trailer for the course itself. So in your announcement to your employees, you may want to embed this link in your email and say, if you want to learn more about the course, well, here's a 2-minute trailer, and anybody can take 2 minutes to see a preview of a course before they actually start a course. And so, you know, these are some of the links as well that you can actually embed in your own communication. Here's the reconciliation film series. In some of your courses, you have Module 1, the economic reconciliation film, that's part of it. But there are other films as well. You know, these 2 films here are the ones directed by the Elder Circle that you saw at the beginning of the presentation. And then this video here is part of the post-secondary classroom resource. So it gives the context, it explains how treaties and the Wampum Belt specifically is an inspiration behind this course. It introduces you to First Nations University. It gives the students and the faculty a bit of a context of what this course is and also what it isn't. And so that's another, you know, great video that you can also share with faculty, kind of like a trailer or promotion of the course. You know, hi, are you interested in you know, hosting or including this course in your September timetable? Here's a quick link for it. So we try to keep things very visual, very multimedia, so that it gives instructors and learners a sense that, you know, this is very much a multimedia course. So you have a link, you can go visit First Nations University here. You know, these are some of the elements that we went through. And again, you have the 7 phases that we've talked about. It's in a different view. This is the same content that you would have on the checklist, but some people are, you know, visual learners and want to see it in this format. So, so here, you know, we have it. So this is a good reminder of this particular webinar. And of course, I don't know if we have Laval University with us, but the resources are also available in French. So I'm slowly making my way back up to the top of this page. Again, I don't want to give you a headache from scrolling through too fast. I do want to talk a little bit about adaptations for COVID, but Brian, maybe there are questions.
There is a question. The question is wondering about the in-person delivery. I think that is also part of this. What resources for that are provided?
I have a feeling that this is a question about the post-secondary course. Do you mind reading it again, Brian?
Sure. Maybe what I'll do is, the question was from Candace. What I'll do is I'll just turn on her microphone and maybe she can.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Hi, Candace.
Thanks. Yes, it was for post-secondary courses, and what I understood was that there was a preference to have a 2-hour in-person delivery along with the completion of the online module. Is that still correct?
Yes. Hi, Candace. What organization are you with?
University of Saskatchewan.
Oh, nice, nice. I know I have a call with some of your team this week, actually, and so I'll be sure to to also, bring a few notes along about this particular question that you have. And it's a great question for everyone. So Candace, when you talk about the 2-person in service, that relates to how the course is structured for post-secondary. So again, pre-COVID, when we're in a regular classroom setting, the course is 5 hours. So there's 2 hours that's in person. So that would be delivered by instructors and professors at U of S, for example. So their commitment would be to find 2 hours of classroom time to do one piece of the 5-hour course. And then the students have their learning portal where they have access to reading materials and videos, as well as the final quiz, right? And so we've split the 5 hours, 2 hours in class delivered by the instructor, and 3 hours online. However, of course, instructors can choose to go longer. Nothing limits them. They could do 10 hours if they wanted to. They could do 20 hours. But we're hoping that each faculty, in order to meet like the minimum baby step that none of us received in our education journey, in general, I'm speaking, but how do we meet that in every faculty? And so maybe one way to do it is to say, okay, well, can each faculty do this small, tiny, little baby step course here, and so they would commit to 2 hours in class, and then guide the students through the 3 hours in class. And would it help, Candace, if we took a couple of minutes to go take a peek at the post-secondary course? And did that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering really about what is supposed to happen in those 2 hours, and do you have a curriculum for that already that you're just actually asking people to deliver?
Oh yes, we do. So
okay.
If it's all right with everyone, we'll go and take a peek at the post-secondary course. Just bear with me one quick sec while I shift gear. So we're going to go visit the course by going to the Canada Consortia preview link that some of your organizations would have had access to when you were deciding whether to move forward or not. So here we are. We're in the course. Your instructor would fill out this form. And so this login would be provided, Candace, to your faculty. And this is where they would access the course. So I'll show you how it's structured. Okay, so this is what your instructors now they've signed in, and they are now able to start to learn what this course is, of course, before they teach it. So here's what it would look like. So this gives them a little bit of a preamble of little things they can do. So section 1 is preparing for it. Section 2 is teaching the course. And section 3 is once that 2 hours happen in class, it's now time to share the student portal with the student. And there's also, if you don't have the professional development course from 4 Seasons of Reconciliation, we've put a few links there and a few tidbits for the instructors to further their own professional development as well. And so this is the introductory video that unfortunately we can't play because it will lag, but this will give an introduction to the instructor, a little bit about this course. It gives them a context. We also have a 10-minute video from Charlene Barrhead here that talks about, Charlene Barrhead is from Alberta, and she was the education lead for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission while the TRC was going on. And so she provides some context, particularly around, sometimes faculty may not feel comfortable, may not feel like they're an expert in this. And so Charlene breaks down that, we're actually here to learn alongside our students. We're not here to be experts. And so we're all on a learning journey. And she provides a little bit of a framework as well. And so that's helpful. And so then before continuing here on to step 2, there's actually a guide here for the instructors. So it's a short guide, but again, it gives them how to go about this, right? And so it shows them what this unit contains. So there's this PDF instructor guide. There's also all the online bits, a little bit of background. It gives them some insight into what is in the student portal and where the final quiz can be found. And here's the in-class Canvas that you were asking about. And so in the in-class, they'll be showing a film called Third World Canada. They'll be hosting a discussion. We have some discussion points. They'll be showing the introduction video that the instructor would have just seen. So they're going to share that in the classroom with the students. And so that's hour 1. And I know some classes are 1 hour, some classes are 2 hours, some classes are 3 hours. So this is just designed to be used in a way that best fits the timetable of the instructor. And so now we've completed hour 1. In hour 2, we'll be presenting some of the PowerPoint. So these are already made, all ready for the instructor. Hour 2, then there'll be a bit of a discussion in class. And hour 2, again, are some of the PowerPoint. So you'll notice that these are very similar to the foundational learning that you have in the PD. It's the same learning, but written a little bit differently for students than it is for a workplace context. And so then once these 3 hours, and my apology, Candace, it's actually 3 hours in the classroom. I know some folks only do 2 hours and they share hour 3 with their students. But once the PowerPoints have been shared with the students, then the instructor, after the in-class portion, will provide student with their access to their own portal so that they can complete. They're going to have some videos that they can watch, some readings if that's assigned by the instructor, and at the very end there's a quiz. And here we also share that, for your own professional development, you also have your own portal. So that's the guide that, the instructor can use we have a terminology bank here as well. And so once they've read the guide and printed it and started using it, now they're in their portal and they're ready to teach the course. And so again, we break down for them what that looks like. And we provide the links to the films. So there's a longer version here, there's a shorter version of the film here. And so they would click on this link and it would start to play the video in class for them. So they could have that tab open, for example, ready to show. There's some disclaimers about the film. Again, they would share this video in class. And then in order to download their PowerPoints, they're all right here. So for example, treaty people, and you can see that it's starting to load here at the bottom of my screen. I don't know if you can see that on the left, but here's the PowerPoint that's downloading. It'll be ready in 3 seconds. And then if we were to, click on that and open it, there's the PowerPoint. And so all of these PowerPoints here are ready for the instructor. Here's a really funny, awesome film by the incredible artist Stephen Paul Judd, who's agreed to participate in this project with us as well. And it's about first contact, but from the perspective of Indigenous people receiving or seeing these boats arrive to Turtle Island. So it's a funny film that they can also show in class. And so that's it. Now they're done, and now it's time to share with the students their access. And so, here's the link, here's the password. And then if you clicked here, we would go to the student portal, which I'll show you in a second. And then here's the final section for the instructor. They can continue their learning. And so here's a series of videos. Saul Sanderson, Candace is living in Saskatoon, and so you may know him as well. He walks us through 500 years of history. These 3 videos are actually part of a reconciliation exhibition at the Museum of History, and they're playing daily for a 10-month exhibition. So Margaret Reynolds is from Beauval, Saskatchewan. And so these are all available for the instructor to continue to learn, some links and so on, bonus readings. And so this is all part of, and I'm just gonna step back and whoops.
Andre, I just have a quick question here from.
And so here's what the student portal looks like. And so I know at the University of Saskatchewan, for example, this is the resource that you have. Oh, hang on. My caps locks was on, I'm sorry. And so now this is the student portal. My apologies, I'm trying to, there we go. And so now the students have received their in-class with their instructor, their professor. These are just highlights. They're not the full documents, but some are. And so these may have been assigned or not, but certainly the students can have access to it. And if they missed some of the PowerPoints, or they want to review them, or they want to use them for their other courses after they've taken this, we're also providing it for the students here. And so here you can see some of the videos that they can access. And again, they can review the film. And here's their quiz. So, so that's the post-secondary course. So hopefully it provides that kind of support that for the in-class that you were asking me about, Candace. And I hope as well that this little tour has also been helpful for the other folks who also have the post-secondary. So anyway, this would begin the quiz here. So I'm just going to go back to where we were. Are there other questions, Brian?
Yes. We have a question. So we've got about 10 minutes left here. So I guess this would be a good time if anybody has any questions to put them in the question pane. So we've got a question here. How many units in the course that the students take?
And so if there are other questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm mindful of folks' time. There's a couple of minutes left before the end of this, but I do hope that by coming here, you can you can see some of these onboarding steps and see which ones are relevant to your organizations. And of course, you can, just book a call with us and we can have a chat and walk you through some of this. Some of the visuals, it'll give you a sense of the kind of content that's available in the bonus library. And feel free to type in your questions while this video plays. And the quality might not be great.
Means people to we were taught by our elders to protect our land and our water from pollution and just to keep it safe. My favorite thing to do here is the activities they have during homecoming or KI days, or even just going for walks at night, especially springtime around 12 o'clock. It's very beautiful walking through the boardwalk, watching the sunset because it sets so late. Candy?
No.
She's talking about candy now. Just the view we have here, it's real and it's not all Photoshop like you would probably see online or anything. My family's more like Christian, but I've tried to get into more of my culture because I don't know, I've never had any of that, and it's something I'm learning along the way. Foods are moose meat, partridge, beef stew, and pemmican. We're allowed to hunt, we're allowed to camp, we can build in places in the bush where we can have a cabin. And you look outside at night, you can see the northern lights just dancing in the sky. There's usually blue, green, depending on where you are and how it is.
So that was part of the series that I was mentioning in the bonus section, and so there's videos and films from young people's voices, as you saw in this one, as well as elders, and all of the 4 films. Many of them have traveled to film festivals in South Africa and India and Egypt, and have won prizes. So these are some of the films that are directed by the elders at First Nations University. Those films are also really wonderful to have in the classroom. And all of the elders have bonus sections in there. There's also a film from Douglas Cardinal that features him and his friendship with Alex Janvier, the artist, on perspectives of reconciliation from these 2 artists. And that also showcases buildings from across Canada. One of them at University of Saskatchewan as well, Gordon Oaks. So there's a lot of additional learning. Some folks don't know that the first computerized building in the world is an Indigenous invention from Douglas Cardinal. So there's a lot of stereotypes that get broken, and awareness, but they're also films, and so they're entertaining, they're visual. So those can be hosted as well at the college or university. You have public rights if you want to show them and invite the community. That's also an option as well, or they can be used in the classroom. They're also available for the professional development unit as, again, just part of that bonus learning. So in terms of COVID-19, certainly the post-secondary course can be adapted for online learning, and the professional development, there couldn't be a better time than right now to share that with your staff and team. People are looking for meaningful projects to engage in, to be part of something positive and something bigger than us, and that elevates us and also literally brings us outside, out on the land, while we're cooped up indoors. So it's a really great time to launch the professional development with your staff and team. So if there's no other questions, I think I've shared with you.
Andre?
But do you have some Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just have a question. Someone was wondering, how do you get the password to access the reconciliationeducation.ca/ post-secondary educator page?
Oh, that should be provided by your library, because that is, each one of you may have a different access. So if you've purchased the post-secondary or you have not and you want to review it, you can always send either your library team or ourselves an email, you know, and you can certainly connect with Brian at the library who's hosting this, that can connect us. But that's part of what you should have that. So if you don't have that, you know, please feel free to contact us. Or maybe you want to review it as well, and so we can provide you. So for example, here you're able to access all of the resources in French and English, even the grade 10 history for the secondary. So if you'd like to view some of these resources that you may or may not have purchased, you know, feel free to contact us. Yeah. Well, Brian, I think we're at the end of our time here. Any closing words or closing comments?
Yeah, so I'll be sending out an email to everybody with the video for this webinar, as well as some links to some videos that Andre will be providing. And then if you have any questions, and I'll include her email in there as well. So if you have any follow-up questions, you can either email me or Andre, and we'll make sure that you get the information that you need. So thank you everybody for connecting and coming to this webinar. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to sign off now. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.